You're listening to Full Circle Weekly News. These articles are compiled by Eric Iannaretti, and I'm your host, Moss Bliss. This is episode 386, covering week 39, September 23rd to 29th, 2024. The Walvik Chromium 1.0 browser has been released, which uses Firefox technologies and the Chromium engine instead of the Mozilla Gecko engine. The Walvik browser, formerly Firefox Reality, is designed for use in augmented and virtual reality systems, provides a 3D interface for navigating sites using a 3D headset, and, in addition to traditional flat pages, allows web developers to create three-dimensional web applications for virtual reality systems using the WebXR, WebAR, and WebVR APIs. Navigation in the browser interface is done using VR controllers or eye tracking, and data entry in web forms is done using a virtual keyboard or a voice input system that allows you to fill out forms and send search queries using the speech recognition engine being developed in Mozilla. You can view spatial videos in the browser filmed in 360-degree mode. Ready-made builds are generated for the Android platform and support most 3D headsets. In testing mode, you can run on a regular Android smartphone without a 3D accessory. MPV 0.39 has been released, forked from the MPlayer 2 project codebase. MPV focuses on developing new features without worrying about maintaining compatibility with MPlayer. MPV code is licensed under LGPL v2.1+. Some parts of it remain under GPL v2, but the transition to LGPL is almost complete, and the --enable -LGPL option can be used to disable the remaining GPL code. The developers of the CentOS distribution have presented a new build, Min, a bootable live environment CentOS Stream build, working only in console mode. To install the loaded system on the disk, the utility install_2_hard_drive is offered, providing a text interface. In addition to Min, the project also forms live builds of Cinnamon, GNOME, KDE, Mate, XFCE, and Max. OpenWRT 23.05.5 has been released, aimed at various network devices such as routers, switches, and access points. OpenWRT supports many different platforms and architectures, and has a build system that allows for simple and convenient cross-compilation, including various components in the build which make it easy to create ready-made firmware or disk images with the desired set of pre-installed packages adapted to specific tasks. Builds are created for 35 target platforms. Theodoret added a change in the OpenBSD current branch that prevents the use of the null character in shell scripts processed by the default KSH shell. Null characters in scripts will now cause execution to terminate with an error unless they are included in the data appended at the end of the file following the code. This will form the basis for the OpenBSD 7.6 release. It is noted that such a change will eliminate the ambiguity of behavior associated with the handling of the null character in code written in C and using strings where the null byte is used to indicate the end of the string. A study of the handling of the null character in various shells showed that in each of them, one or more cases were found where the null byte in the input data or variable contents led to behavior different from other shells. For example, some shells ignored it, some replaced it with a space, and some terminated further parsing of the script or stopped its execution. ELX 0.8, the embeddable Linux kernel subset, has been released. It develops a Linux Lite operating system for 16-bit Intel 8086, 8088, 80188, 80186, 80286, and NEC v20/v30 processors. The OS can be used on an old IBM PC XT/AT class computer, the Soviet MK88 computer, the vintage Monotech Nuxt 2.0 board, and on SBC/SOC/FPGAs, recreating the IA16 architecture. The project began as a fork of the Linux kernel for devices without a memory management unit. The source code is distributed under the GPL v2 license. The system is supplied in the form of images for writing to floppy disks or running in the QEMU emulator. In addition to the Linux kernel adapted for 16-bit systems, the project is developing a set of standard utilities including a bash-compatible command interpreter, a console window manager screen, text editors Kilo and VI, and a graphical environment based on the Xserver Nano X. Two network stack options are offered, the standard TCP/IP stack of the Linux kernel and the KTCP stack, which works in the user space. Ethernet adapters compatible with NE2K and SMC are supported. It is also possible to create communication channels via serial port using SLIP and CSLIP. Minix V1, FAT12, FAT16, and FAT32 are supported. The boot process is configured via the etc/rc.d/rc.sys script. The format of the executable files is borrowed from Minix OS. PostgreSQL 17 database management system has been released. Updates for the new branch will be released until November 2029. Support for PostgreSQL 12.x, the oldest of the supported branches, will end on November 14th. The developers of the Tor network and the Tails distribution have announced a merger of the projects. Further development of the Tails distribution will be carried out as part of the Tor project, which will simplify collaboration, increase viability, reduce overhead costs, and expand the capabilities to counter digital threats. Tails, the amnesic incognito live system, is based on Debian, comes with the GNOME desktop, and is designed for anonymous network access. All connections except traffic through the Tor network are blocked by default by a packet filter. By joining a large organization that champions the same ideas and has common goals, the Tails development team will be able to focus on developing and improving the distribution rather than being distracted by routine organizational and infrastructure issues. The projects have been closely cooperating since 2015, and the merger seemed a natural step after Tails outgrew the capabilities of its organizational structure. TCL/TK 9.0 has been released, a dynamic programming language distributed together with the cross-platform TK library of basic graphical interface elements. TCL is mainly used as a platform for creating user interfaces and as an embedded language, while it is also suitable for rapid prototyping, web development, creating network applications, system administration, and testing. The project code is distributed under the BSD license. The bump in the version number is due to the changes that break backward compatibility. TCL 9.0 changes the logic of applying namespaces to variables. Instead of the global namespace, the local namespace is now applied by default. In the case of encoding mismatch during input-output, an error is now returned. The tilde character in file paths is no longer interpreted as the user's home directory. When formatting numbers, the TCL_precision value is no longer taken into account. The FreeBSD Foundation and Quantum Leap Research have launched a project to improve support for laptops in FreeBSD. The work will be carried out in collaboration with leading manufacturers, including Dell, AMD, and Framework. The project has been allocated $750,000 in its first stage with a total investment of $1 million. The goal of the project is to create a FreeBSD that meets the needs of modern laptop users while maintaining the platform's inherent security, performance, and simplicity. In order to compete with other systems, the FreeBSD platform must provide transparency during use. Everything must work right out of the box without the need to change settings. Problem areas that require improvement for ordinary users include support for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, sleep mode, digital microphones, hardware sound control buttons, and input-output devices. Special attention will be paid to promoting FreeBSD as an operating system for laptops used in enterprises. Competitive advantages of FreeBSD in this area may be stability, predictability, and security. Among the weaknesses of FreeBSD, which hinder its use on laptops in a corporate environment, are limited support for disk encryption, sleep mode, and new wireless standards. System 76 has begun testing the second alpha version of the Cosmic desktop environment written in Rust. ISO images for systems with NVIDIA and Intel/AMD GPUs built on the test build of the Pop! OS 24.04 distribution are offered for testing. Ready-made packages for Fedora, NixOS, Arch Linux, OpenSUSE, Serpent OS, Redux, and CachyOS are also available. Cosmic is being developed as a universal project not tied to a specific distribution and corresponding to free desktop specifications. To build the interface, Cosmic used the ICE library, which uses safe types, a modular architecture, and a reactive programming model, and also offers an architecture familiar to developers familiar with the Elm declarative interface language. Several rendering engines are provided, supporting Vulkan, Metal, DX12, OpenGL 2.1 Plus, and OpenGL ES 2.0 Plus. Developers are offered a ready-made set of widgets, the ability to create asynchronous handlers, and use adaptive layout of interface elements depending on the window and screen size. The project is also developing a Cosmic-Comp composite server based on Wayland. BusyBox 1.37 is released, implementing a set of standard Unix utilities designed as a single executable file and optimized for minimal consumption of system resources. This release is positioned as unstable, with full stabilization to be provided in version 1.37.1, which is expected in a few months. The project code is distributed under the GPL v2 license. The modular nature of BusyBox makes it possible to create a single unified executable file containing an arbitrary set of utilities implemented in the package. The size, composition and functionality of the utility collection can be varied depending on the needs and capabilities of the embedded platform for which the build is being performed. When statically building with UC libc to create a working system on top of the Linux kernel, you only need to create several device files in the /dev directory and prepare configuration files. RTorrent 0.10.0, the console BitTorrent client, is available. The program interface is built using the ncurses library and can be used when connecting via SSH in terminal multiplexers such as tmux and Screen. One can transfer the client to the background mode controlled using XML-RPC. RTorrent is compatible with almost all BitTorrent trackers, supports magnet links, protocol encryption, superseding distributed hash tables, and peer exchange. The project code is written in C++ and is distributed under the GPL v2 license. The new version includes optimizations that increase throughput and reduce CPU load. The tracker's .delay_scrape command has been added to the .rtorrent.rc configuration file, implementing the ability to instantly launch and also solving the problem with crashes when processing thousands of torrents. The build has been adjusted when link time optimizations are enabled in the compiler. A serious memory leak when processing RPC commands has been fixed. You've been listening to Full Circle Weekly News. For more details, see the next issue of the magazine at fullcirclemagazine.org or check the links in the show notes. You can contact me at bardmoss@pm.me. I'll see you next week.